Boreal forests ring the regions immediately south of the Arctic Circle in a vast expanse. The northern boreal ecoregion accounts for about one-third of this planet's total forest area. This broad circumpolar band runs through most of Canada, Russia, and Scandinavia. Known in Russia as the taiga, the boreal forest constitutes one of the largest biomes in the world, covering some 12 million square kilometers. Overlying formerly glaciated areas and areas of patchy permafrost on both continents, the forest is a mosaic of successional and subclimax plant communities sensitive to varying environmental conditions. The boreal forest corresponds with regions of subarctic and cold continental climate. Long, severe winters and short summers are characteristic, as is a wide range of temperatures between the lows of winter and the highs of summer. Also characteristic of the boreal forest are innumerable water bodies, bogs, fens, marshes, shallow lakes, rivers, and wetlands mixed in among the forest. Soils in the forest are called podsols and their development podsolization. Podsolization occurs as a result of the acid soil solution produced under needleaf trees. Because of the low temperatures, decomposition is fairly slow and soil microorganism activity limited. Tannins and other acids cause the upper soil layers to become very acidic, and the permanent shade from the evergreen trees keeps evaporation to a minimum, and the soils are often wet. In some cases, they are waterlogged nearly all year. By far the most dominant tree species are conifers, which are well adapted to the harsh climate and thin, acidic soils. Black and white spruce are characteristic species of the region along with tamarack, jack pine, and balsam fir. Needleleaf coniferous trees, the dominant plants of the boreal biome, are very few species found in four main genera: the evergreen spruce, fir, and pine, and the deciduous larch or tamarack. The conical or spire-shaped needleleaf trees common to the boreal are adapted to the cold and the physiological drought of winter and the short growing season. Severe winters and short growing season favor evergreen species. Muskox, low-lying water-filled depressions or bogs are common throughout the boreal forest. Sphagnum moss forms a spongy mat over ponded water. Growing on this mat are species of the tundra such as cottongrass and shrubs of the heath family. The North American boreal forest offers breeding grounds to over 200 bird species, as well as being home to species such as caribou, lynx, black bear, moose, coyote, timber wolf, and recovering populations of wood bison. Moose are common large herbivores in Boreal. Caribou used forest for shelter in the worst parts of the winter. Moose generally prefer deciduous browse and herbaceous plants, while caribou scavenge for lichens and can eat conifer needles. Bear are abundant in the boreal, along with wolves. Several mammals of the boreal region are valued for their furs, and trappings and trade in furs have been an important part of the culture and economy of the region as long as humans have lived there. Important fur-bearing species include lynx and marten, and in wetland habitats beaver, American mink, and muskrat. The mammalian herbivores on which omnivorous and carnivorous mammals feed include the snowshoe or ferrying hare, red squirrel, lemmings, and voles. Among birds, insect eaters like the wood warblers are migratory and leave after the breeding season. Seed eaters like finches and sparrows, and omnivores like ravens tend to be year-round residents.
Boreal forests take up atmospheric carbon dioxide (CO2) through photosynthesis and store carbon in live and dead plant matter. Forests release CO2 to the atmosphere through decomposition of dead organic matter, live plant and animal respiration. Hence, the boreal forest is both affected by and contributes to climate change. In 1993, a large research project was initiated which concentrated on understanding how the boreal forests interact with the atmosphere. Among others, they found out that the boreal forest absorbs almost 91% of incident solar radiation. The boreal forest is the breeding zone for a huge influx of migratory forest birds that perform many important things in the boreal region and in other forests of the world during migration and winter residence in the south. Climate affects the population level of these migratory birds and the food resources. Climate-associated processes also determine the amount and quality of forest habitat available to migratory birds. The Eurasian elk, or the moose (Alces alces), is the largest in the deer family and inhabit the boreal forest of Finland, Sweden, Norway, Estonia and Russia. The male elk is distinguished by the palmate antlers. Elks are solitary animals and do not form herds. Elks are normally slow-moving, but can move quickly if startled. Common seen diseases in Eurasian elk are ectoparasites. Amongst these parasites is the deerfly L. cervi. The deerfly burrows through the fur and suckles the blood. The fly is usually harmless, but can be carrier of the bacteria Bartonella schoenbergensis, which can lead to skin infections. Another parasite is the elk butterfly Saphinomyia ulrichi. It's a large fly resembling a bumblebee. It attacks the nostrils and pharyngeal cavity of the elk, where it forcefully ejects larvae onto its surface. Larvae enter the second instar in the elk's nostrils, then travel to its throat for the third instar. Third instar larvae have rows of spines on both ventral and dorsal surfaces and may be up to 4 centimeters long. Several cases of human ophthalmomyiasis due to C. ulrichi have been reported in Sweden and Finland. It has been suggested that C. ulrichi mistakes a human eye for the nostril of an elk, because human eyes face forward, as do the elk's nostrils. Elk brainworm, Elaphus strangulis, is found in the spinal cords and causes inflammation and movement disorders, where the elk becomes weak with wobbly legs. The disease is not zoonotic.
The red fox is a very adaptive animal and thrive in urban areas because of the big food supply, including food waste and roadkill. It lives in family groups in a marked territory. The cubs is born in March or April and stay with the parents until late summer. A very common disease in the red fox is Sarcoptes mange, caused by the mite Sarcoptes scabiei. It buries itself in the skin and causes pruritus, which makes alopecia, and the fox can get almost hairless because of the disease. The animals die within 4 months if untreated. Sarcoptes mange is a zoonotic disease, hence both humans and domestic dogs can become infected. The red fox is considered to be the main definitive host of the zoonotic cystode Echinococcus multilecularis, which causes alveolar echinococcosis in humans, which is usually lethal if untreated. It is considered one of the most serious emerging zoonotic diseases in temperate and Arctic regions of the Northern Hemisphere. The tapeworm has small rodents as intermediate hosts and primarily red foxes as definitive hosts. The red fox was victim of the rabies epidemic in Europe in the 1970s and 80s, but since then the populations have increased. Therefore, and because of the fox's propensity to live in urban areas, Echinococcus multilecularis has spread over the last decades. A study showed that 2.6% of 428 red foxes from Slovenia had the parasite. A good way of treating the disease is with praziquantel. This can be done by baiting wild animals with food containing the anthelminticum, and the method has proven more successful than culling animals.
The most common causes of death in free-ranging Eurasian lynx appear to be non-infectious, 70 to 87%, and mostly of traumatic origin. The importance of infectious diseases might be largely underestimated since mortality studies mostly rely on data from lynx found dead by chance. Emerging problems such as congenital malformations and heart lesions compatible with cardiomyopathy in Swiss lynx definitely require particular attention and underline the need of long-term monitoring of free living populations. The malformations have been skeletal deformities, deformity of the lower jaw, and heart defects. There is possibility of a correlation between the emergence of inborn defects and loss of genetic diversity. As affiliate, the lynx is probably susceptible to most, if not all, diseases affecting domestic cats. Furthermore, as a large predator, the Eurasian lynx is exposed to infectious agents through its prey. Epidemic outbreaks do not seem to occur in free-ranging Eurasian lynx populations. Eurasian lynx are solitary living animals separated in space and time even if their home ranges overlap. High prevalences have been documented for Toxoplasma, Trichinella, and Cytoxozoon, which are normally not pathogenic to lynx. The disease most commonly diagnosed in free-ranging Eurasian lynx is sarcoptic mange. Though long-term population monitoring in Sweden and Switzerland indicate that the disease is not a threat for the long-term survival of affected lynx populations. Furthermore, it only affects lynx in areas where it's endemic in red foxes. Overall, diseases do not appear as a significant threat to lynx populations so far. One can, however, not exclude that an emerging disease could have a devastating effect in a small population, especially if added to serious additional problems such as poaching or habitat destruction.